Welcome. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And don't forget to stay tuned to my Good to Know segment at the end of each show, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today we're going to be learning about something really interesting about Ayurveda, and I've got a really interesting guest. So please welcome my guest today, Amita Jain, and she is the director of the Vedic Health Clinic. It's an Ayurvedic medicine practitioner clinic. And so thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited because I've always wanted to learn about this, and I try to kind of learn on my own about it, but it's like I'm so glad to have the expert here today. So in general, can you just briefly explain, like, what is Ayurveda?
Ayurveda is likely the oldest medical practice in the world. It dates back 5,000 years.
Wow.
And it's still practiced today. And it's based on the concept that each of us is unique and our symptoms are unique. And therefore, the treatments are specific to the person, their symptoms, and most importantly, the root cause of those symptoms.
Wow. 5,000 years. I mean, it's that's amazing. That really is.
And still practiced.
Yeah. So, you know, just in general, how does it help people?
Well, because Ayurveda considers each person to be a unique body type, the treatments are designed to really get at the root cause of things. So, for example, in Western medicine, if there's a pill that treats a headache, two people have a headache, they both get the same medicine.
And that's just a symptom.
And that's just a symptom.
Yeah.
Ayurveda doesn't have anything like that. If person A and person B have a headache, Ayurveda is going to look at each person individually, their unique body type, and what the root cause is of that headache, and then design the treatment accordingly.
Wow, that's so interesting. So what inspired you to become this Ayurvedic practitioner?
For 20 years, I've been helping people on the side of my full-time job, and I've been seeing that it works, and it's very effective. And a few years ago, when I was able to help someone with a pretty serious chronic illness, and he healed from it through Ayurveda, I decided that I really needed to do this full-time because there's so many people out there suffering with chronic disease, and Western medicine isn't able to help them. So where are those people to go? And that's when I decided to do this full time and open a nonprofit.
Wow. And so you said that this is it comes from India?
Yes, that's right.
And is this practiced anywhere else in the world?
It is.
I mean, I know, like, you know, there are different practices in the United States, but it's based from India. Is that correct?
It is. It's based in India, and it's spread now. It's spread internationally, worldwide. You can find practitioners every corner of the world. They're tough to find, but they're there.
Yeah. So I've heard about it, but I didn't know that much about it. But, you know, what are the greatest misconceptions that, you know, you feel like, you know, stop people from you know, doing it, or that people think wrongly about it?
Yeah, well, actually, there's quite a few misconceptions about Ayurveda. And if you go to India and you stay at a retreat place and you get Ayurvedic therapies, there could be, in addition to massage, there could be therapies that make you vomit or make you purge, or 3-week-long therapies, very strict diets.
So that's not that?
No, Ayurveda is so much more than that. I have a small clinic, and what I do is I help people discover the foods that are right for them and their body type, and I treat them with all natural herbal medicines, and it's very effective.
And I have heard of so many different retreats like that, and I know that they do all those different things, and I think that is something that's very off-putting, and that's not really it. That's part of that whole thing. So what are the main points that we should know about Ayurveda? And I love the way you say it. I don't say it as nicely.
Well, the main fundamental concept of Ayurveda is that the entire universe, everything in it, and all of us are made up of the 5 elements: air, ether, fire, earth, and water. But each of us is more dominant in some of those elements than others. And the combination and the varieties of these elements put together create 3 main body types. And they're known as VATA, PITTA, and KAPHA. And these body types are unique. And most of us fit into one of those body types, one or more of them. And once the practitioner can determine your specific unique makeup, we can design treatments that target the root cause of what's causing your symptoms.
Okay. So is it helpful to know that even if you are generally a healthy person, or just if you are not feeling well?
In both cases, because if you're healthy, you want to stay in balance.
Okay.
And if you're not healthy, you want to find out why you're not and balance that.
So, so you mentioned the different types. There's 3 different types, and what are the differences? You know, how does somebody fall into those different types?
Sure. Vata body type is predominantly air and ether. Pitta body type is predominantly fire and water, and the Kapha is earth, predominantly earth and some water. So as an example, let's take the Vata person who's dominant in air. The qualities of their main characteristics would be defined by cold, dry, light, and quick, like the qualities of air. So if that person starts engaging in activities that are quick and hurried, and they have hectic schedules, not enough time to rest, not enough quiet and silence, and at the same time they're eating foods that are dry, cold, and light, like they're eating lots of salads or apples. Believe it or not, you know, apples aren't good for all the body types. Or they're having rice cakes because they think that's the way to lose weight. And it's the middle of winter, so the season defines those qualities as well. They're going to have what's called an imbalance or an aggravation of Vata, which simply means that the element of air and ether have increased. Now, if that person doesn't balance themselves with warm, nourishing, moist foods and slowing down in their life, it's going to lead ultimately to illness.
So does that, if it wasn't winter, then you wouldn't add more warm foods? You'd have them drink cooler foods, or? Well,
it depends. It depends on their body type. So for that Vata person, it may take them longer to go out of balance in summer, but at some point they will need to balance themselves out.
Interesting. And the next type?
So, because I know you're trying to get at yours, right? I can see where this is going.
It's all about me.
So the next body type is Pitta, and their dominant element is fire and water. So these are the people who are hot generally. They're the first to sweat in a room. They don't like the heat. They don't like humid weather. They like colder climates. They tend to have fair skin, fine hair, and maybe freckles, moles. They have a tendency towards skin rashes. And so for these people, when they have foods that are spicy, sour, and salty, they go out of balance.
Oh, interesting. 'Cause I know
Yes.
somebody that fits that. Not me, but I know somebody that fits that.
Yes, so like we were
They
talking
prefer
about
colder climates.
Yes,
Yeah.
and where the Vata type person that I described, they can't tolerate the cold. They need warmth because they have coldness in their bodies. So they have dry skin, dry hair. They are thin, tall. They grew up skinny, and it was hard for them to gain weight. So their idea of a vacation in Alaska, they would not want to go. You know, they'd pick somewhere warm, tropical. And then the third.
Well, I just want to say, you say that they grew up skinny. And so does that mean that, like, even though, like, as they got older, they put on weight, it just has to do with how they grew up being?
Primarily, because as we get older, our hormones change. You know, women have kids, and that affects our bodies. But if you look back through your childhood and you recall that, no matter what I ate, I was as skinny as a stick.
So you don't base it on what you are right now, but what you were
throughout most of your life.
Oh, I
right?
see.
Because right now, remember, we may be out of balance.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
We might not be living according to our body type.
Interesting.
And the kapha personality, who's predominant in earth and water, they're the people that are built with bigger body structures, heavier bones. They're the people that see food and put on weight. They tend to have slower metabolism. They have cool, clammy skin, thicker hair. And those people are most suited to having the foods that are dry, light, cool, like salads, like apples, lesser on the meats, because remember, meats are earthy types of food. So in this way, by determining your unique body type, you can actually come up with the right foods, the right type of activities, even the right kind of a career.
Oh, really? Because I guess depending on, you said like somebody, what was it, the second one was more fiery, so would that be
Yes.
somebody who was in a more energetic
Absolutely.
type of position?
They are the ones who do well as leaders, as managers. They need a challenge in life. Our presidents of companies are usually PITTA types.
Yeah.
VATA types are, they have great creative abilities. So they're artists, they are musicians.
No, the Vata are just, those are the heavier
The
set
air.
one? The air ones.
Think
Oh.
about air quality
Air,
in our
okay.
minds. They're clairvoyance.
I see.
Our kapha people are earthy. So they're earthy at their jobs too, meaning they're very loyal, they're reliable. They'll stick to one company for 20 years. You always want a kapha type friend in your life.
That's so interesting, because for everyone that you mention, I can picture people that I know that fit those different types.
And that's the great thing about Ayurveda too, is you start to understand why certain people are the way they are. Family members, why does my husband hate the heat? Why does he have to have the air conditioning on so high and I need a sweater all the time, or why is my son or daughter behaving like this? It tends to give you reasons for why they are the way they are.
Yeah, and if somebody makes a mistake, like diagnosing themselves wrong, like, will it become apparent right away, or is that like a horrible thing?
Yes, well, it actually is important, to diagnose yourself correctly, because if you think you're one type and you start following, the diet and the lifestyle, that kind of protocol, then you'll quickly lose the balance, and Ayurveda looks at imbalance as the cause of disease. So it is important.
Yeah, so if we make a mistake and we're doing the wrong thing, if we just alter it, then we can get into more of a balance. And can somebody be a combination of two?
Yes, yeah. In fact, most of us have a dominant body type and a subdominant one.
Oh.
So absolutely you could be two.
Okay.
Two of them.
That's so interesting. So, I want to hear more about that, but we're going to take a short break. So, I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy. So, we're going to take a short break, and so come right back. Hi, welcome back. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and we're going to continue speaking about Ayurveda with our guest, Amita Jain. So tell us more about imbalance, and if we're not doing the right things.
Well, let's take the case of the person with the Vata body type, where their elements of air and ether are elevated. If they continuously engage in those type of foods and activities that dry them out, that make them cold, that are too light and not nourishing, then they're going to start to see symptoms. And in a Vata person, usually it starts in the digestive system. So the digestion will slow down. They'll have a tendency towards bloating, gas, constipation. That will then lead to pain somewhere in the body, and it's usually lower back pain. Believe it or not, the two are linked. And if it's prolonged, it'll lead to nervous system disorders. Take the case of the PITTA type person who has the dominant element of fire and water. They will also start in the gut having issues, but they would have a tendency towards loose motions, having a meal and then having to rush to the bathroom right away, the liver getting weak, and then skin inflammation happening. So eczema, psoriasis, acne is also linked to pitta imbalances. And they need to nourish themselves with cooling foods and sweeter foods and less of the salt and spice, as I mentioned. So we can all train ourselves to know when we're out of balance by closely observing our symptoms and not ignoring them, which so many of us do, right? We have a symptom and we say, oh, I'm so busy, I got to get the kids off to school, I got to get to my job, I have this deadline. And then those symptoms have a snowball effect and they lead to chronic illness.
So should somebody keep like a journal of what they're eating or what they're doing and seeing how they're feeling to connect it? Or
I think just being conscious of how you're feeling and noting anything that's unusual. I mean, if you have headaches and you start getting them every day or every week or even monthly, you need to pay attention to that. If there's changes in your skin, if there are changes in your digestion, we need to do something about it. We can't ignore it. And just running to the doctor and getting a pill for it isn't also, addressing the root cause.
yeah, and so give me some examples of some people that you've worked with or how it's helped people.
I had a client recently, a man in his early 50s, who had been suffering from eczema for years, ignored his skin, being a guy, didn't really care too much about how he looked. Well, his eczema spread and got so severe that it was all over his face and his scalp, and he was bald, so you could see what was happening to his skin. On his face, it got to a point where he wasn't comfortable going to work anymore because his skin got very leathery and red, and it looked scary.
So it was really interfering with his quality of life.
Absolutely.
And it was something that was really developing.
Yeah, and it was spreading all over on his back, his arms, his legs.
It sounds like the body's like crying out for help.
Absolutely, and that's what it was. So he came to me, and I gave him a treatment of the right kind of foods. It turned out he was eating all the wrong foods.
Oh, of course, because I think that we probably all are,
And what was happening was his toxins accumulated in his blood, and the blood tries to get rid of these toxins, and sometimes it's through the skin. So I put him on herbal medications to reduce the heat
So what was
that had
he?
built up. He was a pitta type. He was VATA pitta with a pitta aggravation, a pitta imbalance. So we reduced the heat in his body. We got rid of what's called ama in Ayurveda, our toxins, purifying his blood.
When you say reduce the heat, does that mean he didn't eat spicy food or warm climate? I mean, how did you reduce it?
Primarily through foods and herbs. So when it gets to that point where it's so severe, you need to take it up a step further. So there are some herbs, and some of them which I'm going to show you today, that really help in cooling down our inner bodies.
Yeah, so we have like wonderful herbs right here actually that you brought in.
Yes,
So,
and I used some of those on this client, and 4 months, eczema completely gone that he had suffered from for years.
Wow.
His skin turned itchy, but the redness went away, his face cleared up, and all the eczema was gone. And then what happened...
It was just a matter of adding herbs and reducing some other things.
Some of these foods. And these are herbs that are medicinal.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
Because we have them here, so...
Certainly.
Yeah.
Should I point some of these out?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
So I really wanted to bring 3 of my favorite herbs that are used in many Ayurvedic medicines, and to talk to you about the wonderful benefits they have.
Okay.
And the good thing is we probably have most of these in our kitchen cupboard right now.
Yeah.
One of them is turmeric.
Yeah. This one here.
And then we have ginger. And here we have black pepper pods.
Oh, okay. And these two?
These are cloves and fennel and cardamom. that are useful to help balance some of these other formulas. But these
smells so
three
good.
here are incredibly potent. Let's take ginger for example. Ginger is a natural anti-inflammatory. It helps our digestion by secreting enzymes to help us absorb and assimilate what we're eating. It reduces abdominal bloating. It reduces abdominal gas. It helps with nausea. And it also brings heat into the body. So for us who tend to have cold hands, cold feet, poor circulation, ginger increases peripheral blood circulation and brings in that heat and warmth to help balance us. It's excellent for arthritis, for joint pains, and it's overall wonderful to have it on a daily basis.
And you prefer the ginger and the ginger root, the raw stage,
Yes,
not the powder.
Not the powder.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that there's a difference. There's a big difference. And the way I suggest most of my clients to have this is to make a tea out of it. So you take about an inch of ginger and you can add, say, 4 cups of water, boil this on simmer for about 20 minutes and let the water reduce to a cup and drink that as a tea. And it's medicinal.
Oh.
It's healing. And you can have 2 or 3 cups of this a day and you'll feel the difference.
Wow. Very often I was told that, ginger is good for your stomach. So if somebody has a stomach ache, a lot of times I'll use ginger powder and put it in hot water.
Not the same.
But it's not as effective because
the
it's
same.
probably old, like that's been sitting in my cupboard. Yeah. So
Yes.
that's good to know.
And if ginger is considered the superfood of Ayurveda, then the super medicine is by far turmeric.
Okay.
And you see that we have this here. I'm sure many of you have this in the back of your cabinet somewhere, of your spice rack. You'll find that turmeric is added in most Ayurvedic herbs because it is a potent blood purifier. So we were talking about toxins earlier, and if you feel that you feel that you have toxins in your body, and you know this because there's inflammation, there's fatigue, there's tiredness, you don't feel like yourself, then turmeric can really help. So it purifies the blood, it stimulates the liver, it also reduces inflammation in our intestines, so it's excellent for gastritis and ulcers.
It's also for the stomach also. And
Yep.
would you use a powder or do you have to use fresh for that too?
So with turmeric, you can use the powder.
Oh, okay.
And the way, and it's not so complicated to use turmeric. If you just start sprinkling it into your food,
Yeah.
like a 1/4 teaspoon of it, into anything that you're eating, it doesn't have much of a flavor, so you can add it to anything. It's excellent, and you're getting these amazing health benefits.
Wow. That's sounds very easy.
It's good for your skin, your eyes. There's really not much that turmeric can't do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And just really quickly, what's the other one that you said is really helpful?
So black pepper, simple, right? We all have it on our
Yeah.
tables, but we don't actually realize its potent effects in our bodies. Black pepper increases bioavailability of nutrients to help our bodies absorb essential nutrients better. So for example, curcumin has a component in it called curcumin,
Yeah.
but it's absorbed with the aid of black pepper.
Oh, so interesting.
So if you're going to have turmeric, if you're going to have vitamins A, vitamin C, selenium, and some of the other essential nutrients, it's really helpful to add black pepper as well.
Oh, that's fascinating. So I know our viewers want to hear a lot more, and I'm sure find out more about you. So can you give us your website so they can find you?
Sure. It's VedicHealth.org. Vedic Health is a nonprofit. We help people suffering from chronic illness using Ayurveda and all natural therapies, and we do it at a very low and affordable cost.
Well, that's fantastic. And you can tell us really fast, what's the one Ayurvedic practice that you may use daily? What would that be?
Well, Ayurveda believes that all disease is rooted in the mind. So it's very important that we take time out to clear our thoughts, to release negative thought patterns and stored up emotions. on a daily basis.
Oh, that's wonderful. So thank you so much for being my guest today,
Thank
Amita.
you so much for having
And
me.
it was
great.
fascinating. I learned so much, and I want to find out more myself. So you've been watching Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host. And stay tuned for my next segment of What's Good to Know. So be right back. Hi, I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy. And now it's time for my Good to Know segment. And as part of my series on living a successful life at work and at home, I'm going to speak to you about being open to new things and just trying something new. And when you're open to new things, you explore many different worlds and really leads to happiness. And I'm sure you know people that are always trying something new. Like maybe your neighbor loves to travel, or maybe other people love to try new food or new fashions, or maybe even trying ancient healing techniques such as Ayurveda. There's many different things that we can try every day and throughout our life. And are you one of these people that are just open to it, or are you a little hesitant? You know, for some people, new is not so good. They're a little hesitant about it. You know, if you're going through a career shift, it can be a little scary. But some people welcome adventure. So how do you experience change? Do you prefer staying with the same, or do you like change? You know, I always recommend that, when change happens, go with the flow. Sometimes things happen to us and we have to change. Like, for instance, out of necessity, you may have a job change, or maybe somebody invites you to try a new thing, and it may seem a little risky, but I say, like, why not go for it? You know, fear can block us from overcoming things. And, when you overcome it, then you have greater positivity in your life and greater happiness. And I always say, what's the worst that could happen? That's really like my mantra when I go through life. What's the worst that can happen? Because when you move forward in your life, you reach greater happiness. So why don't you give that a try and let me know how it works out for you. I'm Nira, the happiness coach, and you can reach me at info@niraberry.com. So thanks for watching Happy and Healthy. I'm Nira Berry, your host, and I hope you have a happy day.